Alright, well, welcome back. Today we're going to take a step back to doing some basic shading. Alright, so we're going to start out with a slight review. So we're going to do a top lighting version here. Then we're going to do an actual on top light. Alright, then we're going to do some side lighting. So we're going to light these up from the side. Alright, and then we're going to do a backlit one where the light is actually on the other side. Alright, so I'm going to put it back here so we understand what that is. Alright, then we're going to do a front light. So the light's going to be here on the front. It's going to shine directly onto the sphere. And then we're going to have an underlit one. Underlit. Alright, so we're going to light it from the bottom. Alright, now concepts are going to stay the same. You're going to have your light source. Alright, and that's what the arrows are going to help us with. Alright, so light source on this one's going to be up here. Now when the light source comes down toward the sphere, it's got to hit it somewhere. Alright, so these should be kind of direct in line. Now a couple things you got to know. One, this is one direction. Alright, it's a solid light. Alright, it's kind of radiating out in a beam. It's not a laser light. Alright, and everything else around it's pretty dark. Alright, now as you've done the other tutorial, alright, we focused for a long time on drawing the sphere. Alright, you know that as you come around the sphere like this, you start shading. Alright, so you shade in a little bit. Now I'm going to do this shorthand because this is a review. Alright, but each time you color one value and then eventually you'll go back and you'll make it darker, darker, and darker. Alright, now this X we refer to as the highlight. Alright, because we're going to be working those 5 parts of the shadow. Then this part here, where the value is going to roll all the way through the image. Alright, this is called the shadow. So that's the shadow part. Alright, this is going to happen all throughout the 6 different spheres we're going to make. When the light turns directly away from the sphere, alright, then we create a darker band. Alright, this is called the core of the shadow. Core of shadow. Alright, then you have the cast shadow, so the light's coming this way, the shadow is always going to be opposite of that. Alright, and we do shade that left to right, so that we create that illusion of flat plane, rounded plane. And then the bottom part, cast shadow. And the bottom part here, light kind of bounces back up, and we'll light this up a little bit. Alright, and we refer to that as reflected light. Alright, now you can refer back to the tutorial on YouTube about the 5 parts of the shadow, but that's pretty much it. Now what we want to do is put this into action. Alright, same parameters, it's just now we're going to move the light source. So we were originally here, now we're going to move the light source over. So here you have the highlight's going to be on top. We don't see that X this time. Alright, it's going to be hitting on top, and everything is going to be flooded. Alright, so it's going to be really light all the way across. It's barely going to get darker. And then here, it's going to be a really harsh edge, dark line. Now this will fade into each other, so do take your time. Alright, I do suggest that you get a sphere and a flashlight, put that in front of you. Alright, turn it on so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm just giving you knowledge here on what to look for. Alright, but then once again you have the shadow underneath. It's going to rotate around. Alright, this is going to be lighter because that's going to reflect the light. And then you're going to have that wonderful cast shadow. And it's going to do that. It's basically going to hug all sides of that sphere. And it's going to mimic, because the light's coming from the top, so you're really going to make almost a oval there at the bottom. Alright, now side lighting is just exactly the same as this. We're just going to turn it on its side. So now the light source is going to hit this way. And you're going to have that equator right there. Alright, so all the values are going to get lighter. It's going to be start lighting, and then it's going to get darker as they push toward that central section. Now with the light coming this way, alright, you're still going to have some cast shadow. Alright, and what I'm going to suggest, and you can pull out your trusty sphere and your light, you're going to have a much longer shadow here because everything's coming from the side. Alright, so it's going to block out a whole lot. Alright, so that light source is coming directly across. Alright, and that's your core of the shadow. This part down here is your reflected light. Alright, because it's bouncing back up. This is really going to be a nice, huge core right in there. And that's going to cause a lot of cast shadow this way. Alright, so it's going to be a much longer version of the shadow. So it's going to go side to side. Now, with things backlit, alright, that means the light source is directly on the other side here. Alright, now you can think of like phases of the moon. You can think of, you know, like planets orbiting around, eclipses, that kind of stuff. Well, this is going to be an eclipse. Alright, now, the sphere still needs to be shaded round. Now you can go top to bottom, side to side, whichever way you want to go. Alright, but all of the sphere is going to be in shadow. There's not going to be a highlight like this one. There's not going to be a highlight like that one. Alright, there's not going to be this gradual part. Everything is in shadow. Alright, now what's going to happen though is, as you start shadowing, there's going to be a little bit of light here on the sides. Alright, because the reflected light's going to bounce up. It's going to illuminate these edges. But 95% of this is going to be shaded in. Alright, and that's going to cause another huge cast shadow down there. Alright, now please take your time, smooth that out, get a light. Alright, I can't say that enough. Get a light, set it up with a sphere, some kind of baseball or tennis ball or whatever, and see what I'm talking about. Put the light source on it. Alright, and let that kind of guide you. Alright, what I'm doing here is kind of teaching you some rules. Alright, you will need to go test those rules. Alright, now front lighting, opposite of this. So these two are related. So alright, if this is what the backside looked like, guess what this looks like. Alright, there's so much, like the light's going to here, there's so much highlight, you're really only going to get some small values, maybe toward the bottom, some of the edges. You will get some semblance of a cast shadow. Alright, but this is in true flood. Alright, you seem to be in my my light there, so, but you can see what I'm doing. I'm putting a little bit of value on the outsides. Alright, now underlit. Alright, so if this was floating in water, or if this was high up in the air, alright, if the light source is coming from the bottom, alright, then there's no air up here, so we can leave out possible, or there's no well, unless it's attached. Alright, there's nothing up here that's going to give it a cast shadow. So really all we have to worry about is where the light hits it. Alright, and then that gradual change of value. You know, you want your core in there. Alright, so we'll shade this in a little bit. You want your shadow. You want your core of your shadow. Alright, and then this will gradually just get darker. Alright, this is the only version that I can think of that doesn't really have that cast shadow. Alright, because if it's like flying in the air, if it's you know, if there's nothing up here that's touching it and the light's coming from this bottom, it's not going to throw any kind of light on anything else. Alright, unless it's about to touch the ceiling, or if it's glued in there, or if it's a light bulb, alright, and the light's coming from beneath it, that's the only thing that you're going to see. Alright, but you will have the highlight, you will have the shadow, you will have the core of the shadow, you possibly will have some reflected light. Alright, that is something's around it, but that's it. Alright, now a couple things you can do as you are blending. One, you know, get in there with your pencil, do the work, move the pencil around, follow the edges, follow the shading, make sure that everything gets in there really nice. Alright, now you can get a blending stump. Alright, there are a couple of dollars at the store, or hang on just 1 second. You can take a trusty piece of paper, you rip a little bit off, and then you tie, like you wrap it around. You can put it to a point. Alright, I don't like using a lot of point on mine. I want a nice blunt edge like this. Alright, and you can take this, come in, work those colors. All those little striations you put in there a second ago, this piece of paper is a nice great equalizer. Now, do not use your fingers, alright? I know a lot of people say to do that. You have oils in your hands. This is, your sketchbook paper is acid free. You don't add acid to that. You don't want this to turn color over time, alright? So use a piece of paper, blend with it, blend with the object. So see here, I was blending side to side here on the bottom, but then on the sphere I'm really blending around. Same concept here. Alright, this is backlit, so I want the whole sphere to round. Alright, so what I need you to do, take this information in your sketchbook, alright, get you a sphere, get you a flashlight. I want you to try these. Alright, you can try them in graphite, in charcoal, or an ink pen. Alright, but I do want you to work through this little exercise. Alright, happy sketching. When you get done, send me some pictures.